Let's see. Michelle in Michigan, is it?
Hi, Russell. Hi,
Hi.
Don.
How are you?
Welcome.
Good. I want to jump right into it since that call took so long.
Yeah, well, that happens.
I know it does. I love your guys' show. I've been an atheist a little under a year, and I was a Christian for 35 years prior to that.
Mm-hmm.
So you're a fresh atheist.
Yes.
Welcome to the fold.
Welcome.
Thank you. In regards to slavery, I'm hearing the Republican Party screaming about working hard and you can get anything you want. And, the American dream, if you work hard, you can have everything you want. And blah, 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 blah. How did that work for the slaves? The slaves worked and died and bled and cried, and they built this country.
Yep.
We would not be here if it wasn't for slavery. How come they're not the rich ones? How come they're not the ones running the government? How come they're not the ones?
I think the short answer is that people who have power do what they can to keep that power. And since the slaves, started with none, they kind of remained on the lower rungs and were still oppressed even after slavery ended.
But how is it not a bald-faced lie for the Republicans to say you get where you are by working hard? It's a lie.
I don't know if it's a Republican thing exactly.
Yeah.
It's kind of the American dream that you can get ahead in life. And
Right.
it's something we try to tell our kids that, hey, work hard and you'll be rewarded. And, that's kind of how things should be.
Yeah, I definitely tell my kid that.
There's a lot of proof to the contrary, unfortunately.
Yeah, and it's not a completely cut and dry, simple question, because there are two questions here. One of them is how, what can I personally do to optimize my chances of having a fulfilling and successful life? And the other is, how is society arranged, and does it encourage or discourage, values like honesty and work? And
does it reward virtue? It's
right.
a simple thing, right?
Being kind to people, does that get you ahead or not? Stuff like that.
Okay. That wasn't the trail I was going on. It was more on the trail of all of this opposition to Black Lives Matter, and saying that all lives matter. And, we hear a lot that blacks are lazy. They just want everything for free, and they're on welfare, and they just keep popping out babies and just.
Well, there's a lot of institutionalized racism. That we and we still have a long way to go.
We're also trying to remove the word slavery from the textbooks.
Yeah, in Texas, I think that is something that the Board of Education has gone for.
Michigan's trying to do it too.
Try to whitewash history.
Yeah,
Yeah. And it's lies. They're lying. These so-called godly people are telling bald-faced, evil lies.
Yeah.
Well,
and I don't understand that now as an atheist. I don't know how to deal with that. Like, how do we fight this monster?
Well, nationalism is a bit like a religion, like Christianity or whatever. It has its cultish adherents. And people that want to say, hey, we're the greatest and we can do no wrong and these sorts of things. And, the truth is rather murky and dark and these sorts of things. But
yes. And that's what I mean.
Mm-hmm. Right.
We consider that just as dangerous.
Right. And I think there is a definite impulse among certain political groups to try to ban discussion of inconvenient facts that they don't agree with as far as their so-called values
narrative
go.
Or agenda they have.
Right. So, like, if science comes to a particular conclusion and that conclusion implies some sort of policy acting on the science, then they'll just forbid anybody to talk about something or research something.
Yeah.
Not to get too specific, but I think you can think of several examples.
Yes. And I can also, the other part of the reason I called is because as a Jesus freak, I adopted 4 kids into Christian homes.
Mm.
And since becoming an atheist, I've gone on the attack with those families. And what I have found is that they all believe something different. And I'm confronting them with the fact, first of all, I hit them with the note that Moses and Jesus never existed. I kept it very simple so they didn't have to, that's the only thing they were going to see when they opened it.
Well, if this is something you're doing in a professional capacity, I think you're erring on the side of promoting religious beliefs.
For children.
Right.
I'm doing it as the woman that realizes now I adopted 4 kids into a monster.
Well,
and I want them to know I'm fighting my ass off to stop that monster.
Yeah.
And I asked those families what they're going to teach the kids about lying.
When you say you adopted, I'm not quite sure. Are you saying that you adopted 4 children?
No, I adopted them out. I gave birth to 4 kids.
I see.
I see.
Yeah.
The first one went into a home with a Christian family that practices secular holidays. The twins, I have twin daughters that I adopted into a home that does not vaccinate. So there's 2 little girls out there that have never been vaccinated.
Yeah. I hate to put it this way because it's a complicated issue. First of all, I do want to say don't hold yourself responsible for mistakes you made in the past.
I don't.
Okay, good. That being said, I think that once you adopt out some kids, you
lose a lot of rights.
Yeah,
right?
you implicitly forfeit some of your rights over their upbringing.
I know, and I acknowledge that.
Right. So it's not
but
your
I want
fault.
Them to have to lie to my face. I kind of want to force them to lie to me so that I can call them out.
Yeah. But it's
I
not
understand
your
the impulse
fault that your kids are being raised the way they are, and you are certainly free to try to communicate with them. But you should maybe think about your communication strategy and whether it's effective or not, because
I know.
they have the right to decide whether or not to associate with you. And if you just come across as this lady who's yelling at them over their choices.
I'm willing to lose contact. This third adoption is an open adoption, and they are having open communication with me. This last conversation we had, they told me that they believe in evolution.
Okay.
And it blew my mind because they call themselves Christians, and they said that
there's all sorts of variations.
Science,
lots of Christians believe in evolution.
But isn't that proof that it's a lie?
No.
Isn't it proof that all of this is a lie? They all believe different stuff.
That's a hard thing to answer because obviously we think that Christianity is a lie, or maybe to put it more gently, an error.
Well, I think you have to do some mental gymnastics to reconcile that with the idea of a fall and original sin.
Right.
And a lot of folks do those gymnastics.
Yes, but some of the most prominent spokespeople for evolution, like Francis Collins, are explicitly Christian. And we will, disagree with him and make fun of him all day for the reasons he gives for believing in God and Jesus and stuff. But his evolution education initiatives are generally spot on. And so that's part of the complex ecosystem of informing people.
It is very complex, and it is frustrating.
Yeah, maybe you ought to consider reading a book or something about creationism in the United States, because there's a lot to know about it.
Creationism?
Yeah, what you're talking about specifically, the disbelief in evolution, is creationism, not just Christianity in general. So, if you're going to generalize about people, you should consider learning the subject thoroughly. And I don't mean reading a creationist book. I mean read a sociological book that discusses the creationism movement.
Do you have any titles in mind, Russell?
Okay, I got you now. I got you.
Right.
Right now, reading God is not great.
Sure.
Well, I think one of the things you need to come to terms with is different adults have different opinions about religion, and some of them are more worthy than others. And people have the right to hold whatever beliefs they want, and they also have the right to raise their kids, in those beliefs.
Right, but I have the right to say I don't want contact with liars.
You
Even
have
if
the
that
right to
means
not have
maybe-
contact with them. You don't necessarily have the right to try to influence the kids that that
kind
you
of the thing-
abdicated your parental rights on.
The thing that's kind of annoying me is I feel like I'm being looked at as mean or heartless because I am so sickened by this that I'm willing to just not even see those kids. I don't want pictures. I don't want letters talking about Christmas and God.
Okay.
I mean, I really just am pissed.
Then
Well, it's a sad
Yeah.
situation that you're in, and you're just going to have to figure out what the best way is to deal with it.
I see little Hitlers every time they send me pictures. I see Hitler.
that's a little extreme.
I know, but
I'm
that's what
sorry.
I'm at.
People change over time, and I think that you ought to. My advice to you is to keep the door open and encourage these children to have a relationship with you that is pleasant and fun and whatever. And as they become adults, you can have some more serious discussions with them about your beliefs.
Right, because I think the best way to promote atheism is to be open and honest about your beliefs and be available to people who want to talk to you about it, and let them know that you're available. But not necessarily like rant and yell at them and call them Hitler.
It may be counterproductive to try to criticize and insert your viewpoints.
As far as a book
I've only
goes,
gotten here since Pence got elected as vice president. That really triggered this feeling of suffocation by religion.
yeah, I understand where you're coming from. And
I
as
felt Greta Christina's pain so strongly. Her fear of that suffocating religion and wow.
right, and your feelings are totally valid, and I can totally understand that. So I think we're gonna move on to another caller now.
Thanks a lot, guys. You
Thanks,
guys are
Michelle.
awesome.
Good luck
Thank
to
you
you.
for calling.